have reached the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office. If you know your party's extension, or if you'd like to reach our last name directory, press 1. For record room, press 2. For victim witness, press 3. For juvenile unit, press 4. For the homicide, narcotics task force, or sex crime unit, press 5. For internal affairs unit, press 7. For the special investigations unit, press 8. If you need further assistance in routing your call, press 0. Prosecutor's office.
Yes, I'm returning Mr. De Fazio's call. He's waiting.
Your name?
Lydia Radin.
Lydia
Radin.
Radin?
Yeah, he just called me on my cell, and I'm returning the call on the hard line.
Okay, one moment.
Okay.
Hold on, please.
Thank you.
Hello, prosecutor's office.
Yes, I'm returning Mr. De Fazio's call.
Who's calling?
Lydia Radin. He just called me on my cell phone.
1 minute, please. Lydia?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 minute, please. Hold on.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. De Fazio. Thank you so much for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Okay, what's up?
Well, Mr. De Fazio, I've been making good faith efforts to work with Debbie Simon. My immediate concern is for my life, and I'm not exaggerating here. I've got medical records. Bryna Keisner is the director of medical records. She worked with me to get the hard copies of my medical records into her office. They're under lock and key, and they state, quote, threatened to blow up schools in Washington, unquote. I would need to know the identity. First of all, that's not true. And if I had to tell you the levels, the high levels that I had to go to confirm that I'm not a terrorist, that I never threatened. Apparently I'm being stalked through life by my medical school because I caught a bunch of doctors stealing money. And apparently they've been running around telling people I'm a deranged terrorist. Well,
Miss Radin, let me ask you this.
Sure.
How does this situation with the medical school relate to any issue with the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office?
Well, from step one, Tracy Simon knew about my medical school has falsified financial information. So
okay.
A lot of this started being driven out in my landlord-tenant case. But before we even, because I was telling my landlord, look, I have no problems moving, but here's how federal student loan fraud prevents me from doing that. Now, I asked Tracy McQuaide in 2008, before I was physically assaulted at Jersey. I was physically assaulted at Jersey City Medical Center where I was trying to recover from spinal injuries. I vomited after the assault. Vomiting after a physical assault on a compromised spine is indicative of a life-threatening condition called bleeding in the brain. These people didn't treat me. They held me for 4 days. They almost murdered me. Now, in a criminal prosecution, the judges are going to have to answer the question, what's the worst that could have happened? For me, it's paralysis or death. And let me, with great respect, sir, when I discovered federal student loan fraud in 2005, I came down to the Hudson County prosecutor's office. I gave you guys, my file is still in your office, in fact.
First of all, that sort of federal loan fraud wouldn't be something that would be in the purview of our office.
Yeah, it would, because it's mail fraud. Every letter.
No, but mail fraud. No, I'm following what you're telling me. I'm just let me give you my opinion on it, and if you agree with my opinion, fine, and you can disagree. But mail fraud is not a state statute.
I agree.
All right, mail fraud is a federal.
I agree, but the problem is, and the root of the problem is, I'm being stalked through life by a bunch of doctors, and the problem is when this was being driven out in my landlord-tenant case, which it did happen in Hudson County. First of all, I've got the witness against me was a dishonest Israeli who self-identified, who confessed to immigration fraud. Neither Judge Falcone nor Judge Fast did anything about this, but apparently Judge Rodriguez in the city court didn't like the fact that she, as we were going through this in the summer of 2008, my landlords pressed false criminal charges against me in city court, in municipal court. And the judge involved, Chief Judge Nesle Rodriguez, refused to give me written no-contact orders, refused to enforce those orders, didn't like the fact that I told people about it, and all of this was keep it off the record, keep it off the record, keep it off the record, didn't like the fact that I told people about it, then called up Jersey City Medical Center and conspired with them to make a nice false record. The problem is, these people almost killed me at Jersey City Medical Center, and today, those false records are being used to hurt me. Threatened a judge? I never threatened a judge. Nino Falcone threatened me.
All right, Ms. Radin, let's go back a step. The issue that you have with the Jersey City Medical Center, that sounds to me like that's in the nature of a civil action.
No, sir. I was physically assaulted at Jersey City Medical Center.
All right, but still, it was in the context, it was in the context of some sort of treatment situation.
They weren't treating me, sir. They were lying. That's the point. I sat down with, this wasn't treatment. This was a Judge Rodriguez in Jersey City who didn't do her job. And when I told people about it, she conspired with the medical school to what would a judge possibly say? Oh, I'm a wonderful person. I didn't give this person a written no-contact order to protect herself against landlords who demonstrated that they would violate a no-contact order. The violence towards me kept escalating, and law enforcement didn't protect me. So a judge calls. They weren't treating me. I went through this with Debbie Simon. First of all, they lied. There is no court-ordered psychiatric exam. Let me give you the root of the problem here. They were conspiring with my medical school because by the end of August 2008, I had cleared my name, and now they were desperate to create false medical records so they could run around behind my back and say, look, she's insane. We were right all along. Okay, so that's the driving force here in the background. But the problem is the records at Jersey City Medical Center are falsified. The screening document from September 12th, 2008 is falsified. The screening document from September 25th, 2008 is falsified. The screening document from Tuesday, September 30th, 2008 that sent Jersey City Medical Center workers to my house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon has been deliberately omitted from my records. Those are not medical records. They're wholesale fraud, and they're created through the false statements of material fact and deliberate omissions. One phone call, sir, from you to the medical center saying, show me me the screening document from Tuesday, September 30th, 2008 that sent your people to Miss Radin's house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon makes your case. They will not give it to you because they deliberately created a false record.
Well, I don't think it was our people who went to your house.
It was Jersey City Medical
Center personnel, right?
Correct.
Well, this sounds to me that this is a dispute between you and the Jersey City Medical Center that should be handled in the context of a civil.
No, sir. They physically assaulted me, and they physically assaulted my mother's boyfriend, who also came down to try to protect me. And all of this could have been stopped had Tracy McQuaide, in early 2008, made a single phone call to my medical school. She says that her records are falsified. I'm a prosecutor. Send them over here.
No, but that's not all. With all due respect to you, now that's not our duty, and that's
it was.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Now I let you speak. Now
okay.
Let me speak. That I can tell you, as the prosecutor, that is not our responsibility to take that sort of action.
Sir, right? I was being harassed out of my apartment, and Nino Falcone sent me a threatening letter while I lived in the apartment. This is in December of 2007. He acted on his threats, so did my landlord. I had to go to Jersey, the criminal court in Jersey, get a no-contact order. About 10 days, my landlord and Judge Nino Falcone violated that no-contact order. That's when I went to Tracy McQuaide. And Tracy McQuaide did not enforce that order. She took no action. And about 3 months later, in March, without talking to me at all, and the situation is getting worse for me, the charges were dismissed. So Nino Falcone threatened me. He acted on his threats. And the way he acted on his threats caused a physical assault on me that left me with serious bodily injury, could have left me paralyzed or dead. This is not a civil suit. This is Martin Bockstein and Dan Rizal going, it's civil. No, it's not.
Well, I don't know. Hold it. If you're not willing to take an opinion from, it sounds like you've already gotten an opinion from a civil law firm that a civil action that you could bring, and without knowing that now, I did not know that. Without knowing that, I gave you the same opinion. All right? Now, if you won't accept those opinions, Ms. Radin, I really don't know what we can do. I'm trying to be accommodating and listen to your story, and I accept what you're saying. I'm not saying you're fabricating this at all. I'm not. I'm just trying to give you what I think is my opinion. This is not the type of case that the prosecutor's office handles. It's not an indictable type situation, what you're talking about. It's either a civil case, all right, or at most, if there was harassment or whatever, it's some sort of municipal court action, all right, but it's not something that would reach the level of presentation to a grand jury.
Sir, first of all, with great respect, sir,
okay.
It already went to a grand jury, I believe. And this is I'm not talking about harassment and stalking now. I'm talking about a physical assault. These people jumped me. They physically assaulted me at Jersey City Medical Center, threw me against the wall, lifted me off my feet, carried me through hospital corridors, held me as a prisoner. That's the crime of false imprisonment. Show me the court orders. I want to see the court orders that were used against me. Held me as a prisoner, did not treat me for the physical assault, left me with serious bodily injury, could have left me paralyzed or dead.
No, I don't think that it reached the level of serious bodily injury.
I got disability afterwards. I have 5 herniated discs and a pinched nerve. I was recovering from a car crash in June of 2008.
Pre-existing.
Pardon me? No, sir.
You had a pre-existing injury, which was aggravated. I understand. I follow you.
Okay.
I follow you. I do. But
I was getting better, had I not been physically assaulted, I would not have been collecting Social Security disability for spine injuries. I was getting better. Months after the assault, I had to go to a New York State doctor, not paid by me, did everything she could to downplay my symptoms. She found tenderness, swelling, and redness. That's how violent the assault was on September 28th. I'm sorry, September 30th, 2008.
No, I know. I'm not. Well.
Now, what I'm worried about, Mr. De Fazio, is, quote, threatened to blow up a school in Washington, unquote. I want the identity of the person who's doing that so I can press criminal charges and get orders of protection because these people almost murdered me.
Well, first of all, I'm going to maintain my position on this, and my opinion on this is that what you're telling me, all right, is not the type of situation where the prosecutor's office would get involved. I can only tell you, and I'm repeating myself, but what you're describing to me is something that sounds more appropriate for civil litigation as opposed to a criminal investigation before a grand jury. Now,
you don't put a civil action against somebody who has physically assaulted you. That is not a civil action.
Yes, it can be, by the way.
That's criminal.
It's civil, it can be. No, listen to me. Yeah, it could be, but it's not in the context of what you're telling me. All right, because despite what you're telling me, or what you may think, this is all in the context of some treatment, all right?
There was no treatment provided to me, sir. That's also called fraud. I was not treated at Jersey City Medical Center. I was not their patient. I was not treated on September 25th, 2008. I was not treated in December. These are not real medical records. This is wholesale fraud. Okay, the screening document from September 25th, 2008 claims there was increasing agitation in the community. I wasn't in the community. I was out of town on a business trip for days. Increasing agitation in the courts. No, it wasn't. I was sitting in Judge Fast's courtroom waiting to get a ruling. Okay, so Judge Fast previously listened to an Israeli confessed to immigration fraud. Okay, this is not, there was no treatment provided to me. These are not medical, these are doctors who lied.
All right. Well, there's nothing that the prosecutor's office can do.
So what you're saying is when Milton Myers and Yael Jacobs and Asaf Rosenheim confessed to lying to Homeland Security in front of two judges, and after that these people orchestrated a physical assault that's called premeditated attempted murder. Every step along the way they knew exactly what they were doing. Every lie they told, every document they falsified, the physical assault on me and my mother's boyfriend, the false imprisonment is a crime, sir. There was no treatment provided to me.
Ms. Radin, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I mean this, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned about you. All right, I am, and I mean that. And I'm not trying to offend you, or I am concerned. Are you under the care of a doctor at this time?
What would a doctor treat me for, sir?
I don't know. I'm asking the question. I don't know.
What would they treat me for? I got a bunch of doctors.
I'm just asking you a question. Are you under the care of a doctor at this time?
What would they treat me for? I got doctors who are lying. What would they treat me for? Doctors who lie is not a problem that originates with me.
You have to trust your doctor. I agree with you. If you don't have faith in your doctor, there's no relationship. You have to have faith in your doctor. I agree with what you said right there.
Vladimir Jelnov and this hospital threatened me. They acted on their threats.
No, Miss Redden, please. Now, you're an intelligent woman. I know you are. So and I think that you have to, you know what I'm asking you, all right? And
you're trying to ask if I'm mentally ill, sir? I am not mentally ill.
No, I didn't ask that. I did not ask that. I asked you a very straightforward question, whether you were under the care of a doctor. I'm not concerned about problems you've had with other doctors in the past. I'm asking you if you're under the care of a doctor now, all right? Because I am concerned about you, all right? And I mean that. I am concerned. And I think that, honestly, I agree that you have to deal with a doctor you can trust. You are 100% correct about that. And that's what I think you have to do.
Mr. De Fazio, are you asking me if I'm delusional? I do not have the delusional belief that the district attorney is after me. The district attorney here in Manhattan presented perjured testimony. I have a police detective, Detective Cologne, from the 34th Precinct, who lied and admitted that he lied on the witness stand to put me in Rikers Island.
The 34th Precinct is up in Washington Heights.
Correct. And this crosses state lines. We'll get to the federal issue in a minute. What I'm worried about today is I want to know the identity of the person who stated, quote, threatened to blow up a school in Washington, end quote, because I am not a terrorist, and my medical...
No, we know that.
Right, and I want the identity of that person, so when I go to Florida...
I'm not in a position to obtain the identity of that...
Excuse me, you are the prosecutor at Hudson County, and when Jersey City Medical...
Even I have my limits of power.
Right, and you have a responsibility to protect me, a former citizen.
I want you to be protected, and
right.
that's why I'm asking you some questions, but...
Great. I have untreated spinal injuries. That's an issue I'm trying to deal with. And it's not a whole lot, and was made worse when I was physically assaulted at Rikers Island. I'm lucky to be alive right now. Do you really think that Detective Cologne at the 34th Precinct is, when I go down to visit my mother down in Florida, is gonna, and I'm jumped again? Because the goal of my medical school is to put me in a locked psychiatric ward for life, so they can say, see, we were right over. That's really sick.
No, I understand what I understand what you're saying to me, and this goes back obviously to the issue you had at medical school, which I don't know how that. I guess that was never really resolved through litigation. I don't know if it was or it wasn't.
It wasn't. It's ongoing in response to a valid subpoena today. I have to correspond with Judge Simpson. She did not enforce a valid subpoena for my records at my school. My records at my medical school are wholesale fraud. Even today, with a valid subpoena, I have to fight to get them. Why? Because if Martin Bachstein, the dishonest general counsel, started releasing my records, he would be forced to admit to a number of criminal schemes, not least of which is healthcare fraud. These people, I was accepted as a token in the admissions process at the school. They harassed me for years. They would tell any lie to get rid of me. They're a bunch of bigots. They stalked me through life. Apparently they did this to Dr. Garg. Dr. Garg was a student at their school. He witnessed a medical malpractice. The school thought there was going to be a big lawsuit. There wasn't. They falsified medical records. They stalked him through life, telling people he was schizophrenic and psychotic. He's not. He had to go to a foreign medical school, get a degree. He's a successful practicing physician in the United States, and has been for many years, with no mental disease or mental defect that would preclude him from the successful practice of medicine. And attorney, pardon me?
No, Miss Redden, I'm sorry, I forgot. What medical school were you attending?
The Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University.
In New York City?
Yes.
Yes.
But I was living in Jersey City. So for at least 5 years, it never occurred to me that these people would falsify my financial records. While I was living in Jersey, when I'm having fights with Sally Mae saying, I'm not paying this money. I'm not a full-time student. I never took these classes. It never occurred to me that they were...
Federal. if that happened, I'll take you at your word, of course, but that's a federal question.
I agree. We also have TAP fraud here in New York State, where they lied to steal a state TAP grant. We also have a federal Pell Grant fraud. But the bottom line is, when I'm living in Jersey City and if I had a job, I would be harassed out of my job. If I had an apartment, I would be harassed out of my apartment. When my landlord hires a dishonest judge, Nino Falcone, and for 2 years they try to harass me out of my apartment, and finally at the end, at the end of all of this stupidity, my landlord's cashed my checks. I was a legal tenant. I go down to Jersey City Medical Center and say, leave me alone, and I get physically assaulted, thrown against a wall.
I know. You've described the incident.
Okay, then this is a physical assault. It's premeditated, attempted murder. Every step along the way. Do you know how sick it is that a Nino Falcone would call a hospital and lie after he was angry and frustrated after losing in court? That's sick. I'm not the one who needs psychiatric help. He does. He's dangerous to others. So is Stacy Dix-Kielbiowski, dangerous to others. So is Judge Rodriguez. Judge Rodriguez could have put a stop to federal student loan fraud in June of 2008. I presented her with case law where a city court judge with a pro se litigant could have solved federal student loan fraud. This did not have to go to a federal judge or a federal level.
I don't believe
she's got case. I put case law in the hands of Ray Velasquez. This is a municipal court. The case law was a municipal. I'll present you with the case law if you like. I have no problem going and getting it for you.
That is something. That's an area where, quite frankly, we don't have the resources.
Lying to steal money. Lying to steal money is a crime. And I discussed this with Sergeant James Sullivan. He's the one who was pulling the Jersey statute, saying this is a crime. These are false financial statements. He didn't have and with great respect, sir, I believe you have more experience prosecuting financial fraud than Sergeant Sullivan. I think he would agree with me. He's like, yeah. Okay, so the bottom line is I have case law that shows in a city court with a municipal court judge, a pro se litigant, Judge Rodriguez could have put a stop to this in June 2008. Instead, she could...
I don't believe that's the case in New Jersey, that she would have the authority. In fact,
I would provide you with New York State case law where they did it in New York, and you could certainly do it in Jersey. But the bottom line is, she was in contact with my school. In July, twice, she refused to give me written no contact orders. If she had given me written no contact orders, do you know what it's like to call the police in Jersey? And I get, ha, 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 ha. You only have a verbal order. In the meantime, my landlord is escalating the violence towards me. The man violated a no contact order, his wife showed up with a video recorder and taped herself violating the no contact order. Judge Rodriguez destroyed that evidence? Are you kidding me with this?
Ms. Radin, all right. This is all things that you're talking about.
Crimes
that have happened in the past.
In 2008, and since 2008, Debbie Simon has been telling me, Lydia, I can't do an investigation till I request your records. She never requested my records.
Records? Which records are you talking about?
The medical records from Jersey City Medical Center. They're wholesale fraud.
Well, if they're wholesale fraud, then we can't base anything on those records. So what you
got here is a crime. That's called fraud. They billed for this. They want me to pay for this.
Ms. Radin, easy. Ms. Radin, please. You are not going to obviously accept my advice and accept our position.
Medicare fraud. When doctors sit around and falsify medical records so they can bill for them, that's called Medicaid fraud. When they try to coerce my signature so that they could bill, so they could get money.
Medicaid fraud. That's something that you can bring up with the Medicaid insurance fraud prosecutor for the state of New Jersey. We don't have the capability all right?
That's why we were cooperating with you. We got the hard copies in Brian Keisner's office, and I sat down with Debbie Simon. I'm like, these are how the records are falsified. This is everything you need to know. Tell me what I can do to help you. Do you have to make a phone call? You've got crimes right here at Jersey City Medical Center.
That's something that would be within the jurisdiction of the Office of Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, which is a state, all right, which is a state agency. The county prosecutor's office does not have the capacity, all right, or the capability to handle that sort of action. Ms. Radin, you know from living here in Jersey City that we have a tremendous volume of work, and that we have, I don't like to say this because I know your case is important to you, but we have violent crime, we have murders, we have people...
Premeditated attempted murder. These people assaulted me, held me as a prisoner, almost killed me. And there's not a whole lot of work here because I detailed this for Debbie Simon. There's not a whole lot of work here.
I think you should forward this allegation concerning the Medicaid fraud. All right, if you want
it's a whole lot more than Medicaid fraud. They tried to coerce my signature so they could rip off a charity that would pay for this.
That's all part and parcel of the same criminal transaction.
Yeah, your chief judge in town calls up your hospital and lies. Judge Fast calls up...
That's not. But that's the judiciary. I have no control over.
Judge Fast, you do have control over Stacy Dix-Kielbiowski, who's quarterbacking this. She's part of the jail diversion project. She should be behind bars herself. She falsified medical records.
Please.
She tried to, and ultimately she and Judge...
Please, calm down, please. All right? And I'm telling you, and I mean this, and I've been speaking with you, I've been speaking at you at length, and you realize that, and I have to go. But please, I want to reiterate this to you. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy. All right? I am concerned about you. All right? I'm concerned about you, and I really do believe that you have to take a step back. All right? You have to calm down, and you really should deal with a doctor who you can trust and have a relationship with. Because, honestly, we cannot keep going over this ground over and over again. Please, I'm asking you, try to have some consideration for...
Quote, threatened to blow up a school in Washington, end quote. That is not treatment. That's fraud, and these people almost murdered me. There's no...
Bring a civil action.
No, sir. That's Martin Bachstein. It's civil. This is criminal. I do not go into civil court and complain about a physical assault. These people attacked me. They held me. This is criminal action in your city.
No, it's not criminal. I've given you my opinion.
It's not criminal? It's not criminal?
No, it's not criminal. It's civil.
Nino Falcone calls Stacy Dix-Kielbiowski and lies, and she said...
They took you to the medical center for treatment.
Who took me? They didn't take me. I went down to the medical center and said, stop coming. They came to my house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, September 30th, 2008, to say there was going to be a padlock on the door and all my belongings would be thrown in the street. That's not true. I won against them almost a week before. There was no eviction. Nino Falcone called your hospital and lied. What would they treat me for? Winning against Nino Falcone in court?
All right.
I'm not the one that needs psychiatric treatment. Nino Falcone needs psychiatric treatment.
I don't know.
So what? So
a lot of us need therapy sometimes, but
you can't fast talk your way around this, sir. On Thursday, September.
I'm not talking very fast at all, quite frankly. In fact, I'm talking very slowly, and I'm trying to just give you my honest appraisal of the situation. Bottom line is, based on what I have been told by you and by other people concerning this entire course of conduct, This is not something that the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office will be involved in. Now, that's my final opinion on this. Now, I'm going to ask you most respectfully to please stop making contact with my office about this same matter over and over and over again. We do not have the time, all right, to continue with this. Now, I'm asking you that.
Mr. De Fazio, who told you that they took me to the hospital, to Jersey City Medical Center for treatment? Who are those people?
What do you mean, who
are they? You said they took you to the hospital for treatment. That's not true. Who are they?
Well, you said you were in the medical center.
No, I went down to the medical center to say...
for treatment. You said you were at the medical center, and I said for treatment. So maybe I went
down to say, leave me alone. I'm not doing anything here. Pardon me?
You asked me a question. I'm trying to answer it now.
Okay.
All right?
This is
who told? I assumed, and maybe I shouldn't make assumptions, based on what you said, that you were at the medical center, that you were taken there to the medical center.
I wasn't taken there. I went there to say, leave me alone. I have the right to be left alone. Today, Judge Rodriguez is running around claiming that I mailed her threatening letters, but she can't produce them. I never mailed threatening letters. Do you know how sick that is? Judge Rodriguez is running around telling people that I mailed her threatening letters. There are no threatening letters that I mailed to Judge Rodriguez. There are no threatening letters from me to Judge Rodriguez at all. Nino Falcone mailed me a threatening letter, and he acted on his threats, and he used Jersey City Medical Center as the club to beat me up. These are crimes in your town, sir, and this is not hard to figure out, and this is not hard to do. A single phone call from you to Judge Rodriguez. Please produce the threatening letters you claim Miss Radin sent to you. She can't. They don't exist. The chief judge in town has been lying for 3 years. Wow. Please produce for me a single phone call, less time than it took for you to talk to me today, to Jersey City Medical Center. Please produce the screening document from September 30th, 2008 that sent your workers to Miss Radin's house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason that document has been deliberately omitted is because it shows that Stacy Dix-Kielbiowski and Judge Falcone lied. There was no eviction on October 1st, 2008. A judge lied.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Quote, and today I live in fear, sir. Today I live in fear for my life because you refused to make a single phone call to Jersey City Medical Center, quote, threatened to blow up schools in Washington, end quote. And I had to go to the very highest levels of government to show that I was not a terrorist. I want the identity of that person so I can get protective.
We know that. We know you're not a terrorist. Please.
Good. Then I need protective orders. I need the identity of the person who's doing that so I can put a stop to it so I won't be stalked for the rest of my life through the Patriot Act.
All right, Ms. Radin, I understand your position. All right. The Hudson County Prosecutor's Office is not getting involved in this situation.
This is a phone call from the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office to Homeland Security. Asaf Rosenheim confessed in front of 2 judges, and what are you doing? Oh, we're looking the other way because we're too interested in prosecuting murderers or people who almost killed. They almost murdered me, Mr. De Fazio. Premeditated, attempted murder.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry that we have to end on this note, but really there's nothing that we can do, Ms. Radin, and I'm going to just ask you once again, most respectfully, please stop making contact with us concerning this same situation.
What law enforcement agencies are you referring my case to if you claim you're too busy to handle it?
I'm asking you. I'm not.
What law enforcement agencies are you referring my case to?
No. I'm not referring it anywhere.
So you're...
I told you that you can, concerning the Medicaid fraud, contact the Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, okay? That's what I said.
You've got the chief judge in town is running around for 3 years telling people I'm mailing her threatening letters?
Miss Radin, you're an intelligent person now. You're not going to accept the fact that I'm ending the conversation. Please accept that now, please. And we will not entertain any more of this repetition. So with that, goodbye.